it's very important to fundamentally understand Indian contemporary. So it's not about mixing with the past or making contemporary, mixing it with the West. So it's this bridging of what is today Indian and how India looks at design or architecture for now. So the client had a very interesting, specific, brief point where he said that I come back home every evening and I want to party every day in a distinct space. So you had to make 7 distinct party or living spaces for 7 days. So whether it was a pool corner, or it was an amphitheater for jamming, or it was a basement with a proper living sit out, or a bar which was elaborate with a home theater, all of them had to be distinct, stitching the part of the narrative, of course, but still have their own uniqueness to it. And I thought that was it was a perfect shuruaat for the project. If you look at outside, you have the context of a typical street with bungalows as pretty much row houses. So this house had to be fairly introverted from that perspective. It had to be very clean and bold. So in a street, it stands out just as a clean block of concrete. Fundamentally, the house is 2 blocks of concrete which are living spaces, which are completely open on the inside, and bridging those 2 blocks of concrete is the modern day courtyard. And modern day courtyard basically means it's green, it's a space for common interaction, it's a lot of light, but it's air conditioned. And that's why the courtyard kind of became like a bridge with greens and the outsides kind of expanding outside. And that extension, that entire connection is where life happens. And then it was overarchingly based on punctuating with cotton steel. We chose cotton steel after a lot of deliberation with the client because he wanted something which was contemporary, but also a certain degree of timelessness to it. And it was, to me, the beauty of cotton steel is that it's still living. So you see it changing every year, practically in a season, in a very subtle way. So from a boundary wall that looks like planters in cotton steel, to a block of a square frame as a piece of art on the facade that changes, like I explained, to doors, door handles that you touch, to little punctuations of calendars and clocks all over the house, you will see that there is a story that kind of connects to the last detail. So if you look at the lower space, unless I tell you it's a basement which is 15 feet down, you wouldn't get to know. It's the most casual, simple way of entering very gradually, almost seducing people into the space. And that's where the formal bar, the formal dining space with this mammoth monolith stone table, to the entire living space, which is formal, has a card space, has a foyer space outside, and a lot of flexible places around it, was kind of done at one go. Every floor also had its own character. So stone was being celebrated at the lower floor, from the dining to the center tables, to the stone wash basin, to the stone in various art pieces below. To the main living spaces, like I explained, was a lot of glass and green. Private spaces had their own individual character within those 2 spaces, and then came the main floor upstairs, which was 2 big volumes and levels of lots of party spaces. So from a pool on top, to a music station in the middle, to a bar which was central to the whole space, to gymming and playing games on one side, to this massive terrace garden in the middle, which was again open to a very large screen for an open air experience of watching your IPL matches and listening to a lot of music, to a completely controlled home theater space. It was all these different volumes that kind of got connected right on top. Right on top, of course, because they could buffer from the lower space, which is the formal spaces, from the rest of the house. So the big unique difference is that there is no vertical shaft that connects the whole house except a lift core. So you've got a large stair which kind of connects the main volume to the lower basement, but you've got this one wooden spiral that connects, a very large, comfortable spiral that connects the 2 living spaces. From then on, there are 2 larger staircases with mid-levels as more intimate, smaller sit-outs in themselves, that then connected the various party spaces that I spoke about. I think something very special about this house is that from the volumes to kind of making these kind of smart design elements which punctuate the entire place has really been a fun journey. and I kind of connected with the client and the nature of the interaction I had with him. So we thought we should celebrate this kind of contrast very beautifully. So by using a lot of Indian materials, using a lot of landscape, the nature, everything which was very Indian, to then punctuate the place with artificial lighting and furniture which was more like sculpture. And it was about the whole house being a form of living museum where all these pieces actually can be used, and they're not just there for the look, but they are there for the touch and the feel of it, and they use it themselves. And I think the beauty of the house, the fact for whatever time it took, it was a constant interaction, and that interaction really helped us understand each other as individuals. It helped him understand design, it helped me understand the perspective that they come from, and I see that house, the product, and what I see now, the way it is used, being lived with that philosophy. And I think that really is the beauty, that the process now is very visible to me when I come and see it, is being lived with. And I think that's why it's a wonder I built.